Last year in 2022, I and my family decided to leave the UK and move to the United States because of so many reasons. And a lot of people, friends, family, they were asking us to stay back in the UK for at least 1 more year to get our permanent residency and maybe stay until we get our citizenship before we move to the United States. And when we checked everything, we decided that last year was still a good time for us to move to the United States from the UK. So, but looking back right now, will I say that that decision is actually good? How has the US treated us in the past 1 year? This is what I'm going to be talking about in this video. Hi everyone, welcome and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lynda. I'm a registered nurse and I currently live in Texas, United States. So I'm going to be sharing my experience, my 1 year experience in the United States, so that it will help you to put things into perspective, especially if you're planning to move to not just the United States but to the UK, to Canada, or anywhere outside your home country. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. I'm going to be discussing the 4 major areas that people are worried about when they want to move to a new country. And majority of the questions that I get since I moved to the United States always revolve around these 4 areas. The first one is life of immigrants in this country. The second one is getting jobs and jobs for spouse. The third one is healthcare, and the fourth one, safety, of course. The first one is life in general. So in the past 1 year, I would say that life has been like ups and downs. Of course, it is not easy peasy to move to any country, and it's one of the things that I dreaded before moving to the United States, like starting all over again and all of that. And yes, it is not easy to move to a new country. You have the culture shock, the language. A lot of people in the US, they are very big on accents. I don't count the number of times that I'll go to work and patients will say, oh, you have an accent, where are you from, and all of that. But the good thing is that majority of the time they don't say this thing to look down on you, and that makes it a little bit easier and bearable. Okay, so you just have to repeat yourself and all of that. And again is they have different payment system. The transportation is obviously different. You have to drive, and all of those, you know, challenges we had to overcome. But in all, I would say that transitioning to the United States and settling as an immigrant appear to be a whole lot easier for us. Maybe, and it's going to be different for so many people, because for some of us that lived that moved from Nigeria to the UK, stayed for a while in the UK before moving here, it's a lot different. For experiences of people that just moved directly from Nigeria to the United States will be different as well, or from other parts of the world to the United States will be different as well. But in this past year, 1 year, from people that I asked questions, my colleagues that moved from Kenya, Philippines, Nigeria, from their own perspective, I would say that settling in the United States is a lot easier. It has been good for us in this past 1 year. I would say that having access to so many things, to healthcare, to getting accommodation easily, access to loans, studying, and all of that is a lot easier. So life in general has been easier because we have access to things, government support, and all of that, even though it is just within the first year of moving to the United States. Second one is finding job for spouse. Finding jobs in the United States comes with its own challenges. So for us, for my spouse, he got a job after a month, and before he got that job, whenever he was applying, they were always asking for driver's license, you know, experience. He used his experience from the UK to definitely get a job. And when he eventually started getting jobs was when he made sure that he got his driver's license, and then he was able to start getting a job. And then for him to also get the kind of job that he wanted to do, he had to do a certification, a 6-week certification to even get started. So I noticed that in the United States, many of the jobs, especially if you want to do anything professional, you will need a certain kind of qualification, certification. If you want to use a a foreign certificate, you will need to verify that. So in that regard, I would say that spouses, you can get jobs easily. Of course, for nurses, before we moved here, we already have a job. For our spouses as well, it depends on the skill. So for my husband, it took him 1 month, around 1 month to 2 months, and for him to get those jobs, he had to make sure that he gets his driver's license, and to also for him to get a better job or whatever, he had to go for a 6 weeks training, and then he had to stop his job to go for that training. Okay, so those are the kind of challenges that we also had to stop his job and then go for this 6 weeks training. And then after he had that training, they helped him to now, you know, apply to places, and he used them as reference and all of that. So that's the process for him. And I believe so many of my colleagues, their spouses as well, that was also the process for them. They had to go for training, and then that training center will also recommend you to employ. The third one is healthcare. So healthcare is such a huge worry for a lot of immigrants, because some countries healthcare is free, like the UK is free. In the United States is not free. You have to have a health insurance, and the health insurance also comes in different packages. You have the one that is low, you have the one that has a higher one. So I'm also trying to understand this whole health insurance issue. But the thing is that if you have a job, the job usually, or as a nurse, once I get a job, usually the job comes with health insurance, and then I can include my family. And if my spouse is working as well, his own job can come with insurance, and then he can include on or maybe I'll just include the kids on mine. So the health insurance is when I compare to this is just a comparison video, but when I compare to the national insurance that was removed from my salary, each paycheck in the UK is the same, but the difference is that in the UK it's free at the end of the day if I eventually access care. But in the United States, if I access care, I still have to pay a certain percentage, like the employer or whatever, the insurance company will pay maybe 60%, 70%, and I have to pay 30%, depending on the kind of insurance I have. Some will pay 10%, the insurance company will pay 90%, all of that. So that is what we have been experiencing for that health insurance for my kids. But another thing I've noticed is that if we assess anything preventive for my kids, if they go for their wellness check, we don't have to pay anything. But if you have to see a professional, then you have to pay your own. So that's the co-pay. Okay, if you go to emergency room for any reason, it has a charge for that. If you access urgent care, it has a charge for that. So if you book appointment to see a doctor for some reason, then the charge for that will also be lower. Emergency visits is higher, urgent care is higher, preventive care you may not pay anything. So that is our own experience of healthcare in the US so far. The fourth one and the final one is safety. How safe do we feel in the United States? So I would say that overall we have felt very safe so far. When we first bought our home, after about 5 months when we moved to the United States, we were just like very happy because of the space and everything and all of that. And my kids, I'm always like calling them to know where they are, because they are in one corner of the house, in that corner of the house playing. So every time we are calling them, where are you, and all of that. And one day, one of my kids just went to the garage and then pressed the garage door, and you know, it's opened and the weather is so pleasant and all of that. She just moved away from the house and maybe started walking towards the park. A neighbor found her, of course, doesn't know where she's from, and called 911. And of course, as we are also trying to look for her and all of that, trying to decide whether to call 911 or that, the police and all of that, they were already there in the neighborhood. And the person was trying to hand our child over to them and everything. The way the police responded very quickly, just in that few minutes that we did not we noticed that she already walked out of the house, and a neighbor finding her already and the police already there and all of that just made us feel very, very comfortable. And the way the police handled the whole situation, they were very professional, cautious, and everything, that I even sounded like, I was like, wow, this is really good and all of that. So that made us feel very, very comfortable in that environment. And they did not like try to look down or, you know, disrespect or something like that, but they also helped us to like, okay, suggest how we can, you know, make that thing not to happen again. This TED talk by Chimamanda Adichie that I love so much is about the single story. I forgot how she titled it, but it's a TED talk by her. It's about a single story, and she talked about how the media projects a particular group of people in a particular way, and then people will start seeing them that way. Okay, one thing that I've noticed in my 5 years, almost 5 years of moving out of Nigeria, is how different what we see on the media, or what we hear on the media, how different people are. When I moved to the UK, I noticed that 90% of what I thought UK was actually false. If you have not lived in a country, I don't think it is even proper for you to say that this is how these people are. Going for a vacation in a country doesn't make you eligible to even say things in all authority about that country. Hearing about Nigeria in the media and all of that does not give you any information. I think the information they give you is like 10%. The other 90% you don't know. When I stepped foot in the UK, I said, wow, this is different from everything I've ever heard, even watched from movies. Living in that environment, experiencing it yourself, accessing the healthcare, getting accommodation, moving in their buses and all of that will give you the true picture of how that place is. Interacting with the people there, those are the things that will give you a better perspective of how that place is. I thought the UK and the US would be a little, you know, similar. We'll be amazed at how different these two countries are. People tell me things about my country and they've not been there. In my mind, I'm like, you don't know Nigeria at all. You're just like telling me from what you hear from the media and all of that. And usually those things are wrong. I remember telling someone about one of my experiences with my colleague in the UK that told me, well, I heard in Nigeria that when you give birth in Nigeria, that most women that give birth in Nigeria die. And I was like, well, I'm a woman and I'm from Nigeria and I give birth in Nigeria and I'm here talking with you. So I told her, yes, we might have like a higher mortality rate and all of that, but that doesn't mean maybe we have like hundreds of births before we have that casualty. What I'm trying to say in essence is that we'll feel safe here. When we watch television and hear news of what is happening in this place and happening in that place, that is when we now say, oh, we have to be more careful. But generally, the response from the police, the security and everything appears to be wonderful. So far, we feel very safe. And if safety is one big thing for you, I feel like you should try and come first and see whether it's not safe. So I had an interview with someone recently and I was telling her, we feel safe here. The police, they respond very quickly and they appear to be very professional and good. I feel like the police are really good, well dressed, you know, they look very confident. Whenever I see them, you know, any nook and cranny, you see them, they're doing their job and we feel safe. And she was like, oh, you're trying to paint it. You're trying to paint it. And I was like, I'm not trying to paint it. For now, we feel good. We feel good. People are going about their businesses. I've met a lot of Nigerians that have lived here for ages and they are happy. They don't look like they are stressed by any safety issues. And she was like, you know, so the whole point is that when you listen to the media and listen to the television, the whole issue is so bigger, so much bigger than it actually is. So far, so good on the safety issue. At the end of the day, safety is in the hands of God, and he's the one that keeps us safe. I'm a Christian, so that is what I believe, that safety is in the house of God, and he's the one that keeps us safe. And for the safety issues around the environment, I feel that generally it is safe when you compare to so many, where I'm coming from, for instance, and so many things that are happening around the world. You don't really know the magnitude of how it is until you live there. Okay, so when you hear it from people that don't even live in the United States, I've also told my co-workers here, do you know that people don't think that United States is safe? They say yes, but they have not been here. Don't allow anybody that doesn't live in the United States to tell you whether United States is safe or not. So my American experience for 1 year has been good. We were able to get accommodation easily, get a car easily, get a home easily, get a job easily, with challenges of course, but easier than, you know. So studying as well, which I was not able to do before. So my final thought is that whenever you are moving to any country, have a plan. We decided to move to the United States based on our own plan. We noticed, okay, here we are not achieving this that are in our plan. We moved out of our country. We have seen that people that live in the United States, they are able to achieve this and this, and we may be able to try that route as well and be able to achieve the same. So since we are not ticking off our goals in this place that we decided to move, and by God's grace, after this 1 year, I have said that, in fact, we have ticked good almost everything. We wanted to study, we are doing that. We wanted to live in a good home, we are doing that. We wanted to work in this kind of environment, we are doing that. We are able to see, okay, this is where I want to build my career. We are able to do that. But this is different for everybody. It's possible that for you, you want another environment where you do this, maybe UK will be better for you. Maybe in another country, your profession, the kind of course you want to study, you will be able to tick all those things good. So it's not I will not say that this is the best place, because I've not lived everywhere. Again, if you have not lived in a country, if you have not experienced it yourself, you might not really know the whole picture. Okay, so living there, experiencing it, gives you the perspective. So if you ask me if you should move to the United States, definitely go for it if you feel like that is the place that you will achieve your goals. All these other things will take, every other thing will follow, because I believe that for us immigrants, the quality of life we live, we are able to achieve what we want to achieve, then it helps our life generally, helps our mental health and everything. So if you feel like United States is the place you will achieve your goals, go for it. If you feel like Canada is the place that will tick all the boxes for you, go for it. If you are already in the UK and you feel like all your dreams and goals, you are achieving them, why bother with the challenges of moving to another country? So this whole thing are my own perspective, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, leave your comments. What are your experiences? Have you moved to the United States already? Are you in the UK? Are you considering this move? What is your biggest fear? And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.